principles of good luck. Okay? So why is it that some people tend to be luckier than others? To take it further, why is, I'm sure some of you guys, especially Igbo people, some relatives that they're very wealthy, they always have money coming to them, but they're very mean. They usually don't share their things, and people know them to be tight, but they always seem to have. And you have a lot of times, sometimes these generous people who go out of their way to help everybody, but their family never quite have enough. And you would think, oh, in the paradigm of the universe that you were taught, that if you do good in the sense that you were taught, that you'll be okay. But there's a difference between your understanding of good and what the universe sees as good. So, just like everything in a game, if you're playing the game wrong, it doesn't matter if you have good intentions. As long as you're playing it wrong, you're not going to win. It's best you understand the rules of engagement in any environment that you find yourself. And that's the best way that you're going to have success, right? So in this particular realm that we call Earth, we have this phenomenon where there seem to be paradoxes in terms of the moral code that people were taught. A lot of people were taught that treat your neighbors good, do good, go out of your way to help others, give others everything that you have. Everything. Give, the Christian Abrahamic code is to give all and be with none and just expect God to take care of you. And a lot of people go by that. The deeper people go into religion, you find that they tend to have poverty. So we're going to look into this principle. My mind has pondered on this principle for quite a while, and I had a conversation a few days ago with a friend of mine, Miss Nicolette, and we talked about this issue too. So, I felt that people need to know, so I could share it with people. So people need to be aware of this principle of good luck. So good luck has a principle, all right? There's no coincidence in the universe. There's nothing that just happens without anything causing it in this universe. This is a tightly fit universe. So if you move something, something else is going to move. There's no space. So anything that happens is because something caused it. All right? So if somebody's having good luck and somebody's having bad luck, something caused it. It's not just happening. And if you take time, the reason why people don't catch a lot of these cosmic secrets is because of different degrees of distraction. So people are distracted to different degrees. Some people are more keen into observing things that are not readily seen. And you could catch patterns, all right? So the universe, the way the universe is structured from the individual flowing outwards. That's the way the universe is built. So you are the foundation of the universe. You're the kingdom, the human being. From your perspective, that the universe shines forth. So if your eyes close, the universe ends. Your universe is inside of you. Your program is inside of you. Now, inside of you now, there's this endless grid of worlds, and everything is built around you. And because everything is built around you, you have different degrees of forces that operate through you, within you. Your what you call your conscious self is actually one of those forces. What you call the I am. The you that you recognize as you, when people call your name and you turn and answer, that's just one of the consciousnesses that make up you. Okay, there's different other consciousnesses that make you up. Some of them are greater than you. They do work for you. Some of them do physical work. A lot of them, different schools of thought have given different names. Some they call them angels, forces, demons, jinns, elementals, But ultimately, these are just various degrees of forces that are operating within your realm. Now, these degrees of forces some of them are just like you. The one that's directly closest to you is just like you. It has emotions. It can get angry. It could teach you a lesson. It can go out of your body and arrange circumstances for you. Is what you call your subconscious. Okay? It's linked to the greater world. The reason why people think it's impossible is because they think the outside world is something detached from them. But once you see that everything is inside your bubble, and that bubble is coming out of you, then it begins to make sense. So now, you have the responsibility of keeping the integrity of this system, what you call your conscious self. So before you honor the God in another entity or in another body, you have to first of all honor the one in you. So a lot of times, a lot of religious schools put it in different ways. Like, for example, in the scriptures, somebody asked Christ and said, what are the main commandments where if you honor it, you get to heaven? And in the Bible, they wrote it like, love God with all your heart and might and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. However, the miseducation is that in the original older text, it wasn't love God, it was love yourself. Okay, so yourself or your higher self is your God that you should love. There's nothing outside of you that deserves that love. And that love, that God starts from you, your body, your physical body, all the way up to your spirits and whatever else. So that comes first. That deserves your first attention in everything you do. You mustn't put another person before that. You mustn't displease that spirit to please another entity, another person, another. That's what it means when you say, thou should not worship another God before me. Those principles existed before the Bible, and basically they're codes to existing properly in this virtual reality so that things will go well with you based on the way that it was designed and structured. All right? So when you notice that these higher entities require you to make certain caliber of decisions, if your decision caliber falls below par, then they begin to put you in circles that reflect the nature of the decisions that you're making. So for example, if somebody rips you off and you let the person slide, right? And you have an opportunity, the universe gives you an opportunity, you caught the person to get your shit back, but you let it slide and you on some fake forgiveness. Well, your inner self, the forces inside of you they're not gonna be they're not going to be happy with that decision. All right? Because it's an imbalance. And as long as it's an imbalance, it doesn't matter if it's an imbalance to you, it doesn't matter if it's an imbalance to other people, it's still an imbalance. It's the same thing as taking something from somebody else, stealing. So you just stole from yourself, or you stole from your higher forces. So when this type of behavior is prevalent in the person's caliber, in the person's spirit, right? The person, from an individual perspective, may believe that he or she is engaging in goodwill, especially in situations where not only do you need things, but there's people in your own immediate family that also need things, and you bypass them and give it to somebody that doesn't really deserve it. A lot of us do these things all the time for different reasons, based on sympathetic psychologies, for whatever reason. Okay? So I'm not saying don't give to the needy, but I'm saying recognize your neediness. Recognize your needs as paramount. And not because you're selfish, but because there's a way that the universe is structured. There's principles that you dare not go against. You shouldn't go against those principles. And if you go against those principles, then you create an imbalance that's going to be reflected back in your circumstances that you are faced with day to day. So if you start making these type of decisions, you may not get maybe the type of promotion you want, the level that you want. You know, you may not get the level of things that you want because you've given the signal to the universe that you're okay with mediocre. All right? So this is why certain people that are deemed wicked, that are rich people, tend to have even more money. While certain people that are deemed kind tend to become impoverished and they end up going to beg the wicked man for a loan. And people's like, why is the universe like this? Why is the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer? And you got to understand something. This is a design, okay? It's not just an open environment based on random sympathy and mercy. All right? It's not just a place that is open where on an individual day-to-day basis, situations are assessed and treated. There's a code that applies to everybody at every time that you have to be aware of on all things. All things you're doing has a procedure in this universe. It's like you're playing a video game and you don't know the controller buttons. You know, the button that says jump or run. You don't know the buttons, but you're playing the game. You know, how could you play? You know? So, understand it is. You have to understand the way that the system is built, structured, based on how you are related to it, how you're associated to it. And the way that it is structured is the way that we just explained, based on this hierarchy of forces and their requirements of your own responsibility to make certain level of decisions so that they can maintain a certain level of quality of life for you, based on the reflection of the cadence of your decisions. All right? So if your decisions reflect a lot of mediocrity, then it'll reflect mediocre circumstances. This applies to everybody, it doesn't, including myself, even people that are reasonably successful, that could be even more successful, but are not really understanding certain things. So once the person understands this principle, then the law is rephrased. So now it becomes, love yourself with all your might, heart, and strength. Then love your neighbor the way that you just love yourself. Okay? That's the proper way that verse is supposed to be read. Not love God with all your heart, mind, and strength. Okay, that makes it still outside of you. So you're loving two things outside of you. What about you? What part of it what part of your love is reserved for you? So, but the balance is that your neighbor is outside of you and yourself is inside of you. So that's the balance. So now, if you love yourself properly, where you're full of love, you don't need anybody's love to feel complete. Then, once you're full, you can now share because you have excess. You can't share what you have a shortage of. And you can't share what you don't have. If you don't love yourself enough, you can't love somebody else. It's the mistake people have. And they have shitty relationships all the time. These principles reflect in all things, including relationships also. So some people notice like, oh, I'm doing so good in relationship. I'm doing everything I can. I'm buying all this. This person still don't like me. Because you're not understanding the principles. You're dealing with psychology. You're not dealing with human emotions. Most people don't know what they want. So what does that say? That means that there are other forces controlling the people around you. So when people do things to you, it's not necessarily them. They're things that have overcome the people, where they can't help it most times. In most cases, most people are hypnotized. Every day they're possessed. Every day, most people. All right? So, the point I'm trying to make here is this. Once you place a great value on your own self, your own higher angel, your own higher self, once you begin to make day-to-day decisions based primarily from a selfish point of view, that genie that lives inside of you will become very proud, will begin to draw circumstances that reflect the standard of decision making that you have. So based on your abundance mindset and your willingness to let things go, even though you don't have the bigger thing at hand, but knowing that you're capable of having something better as opposed to staying with something that is not serving you, and being willing to let things go. And that's the key to this principle. So when this is reflected in life, right? And the good way to look at this is like the unwillingness to show concern for offending people when it's based on making decisions pertaining to your own betterment. So if it has to do with your own protection, your own betterment, right? You shouldn't feel for anybody. You shouldn't feel that anybody could be offended, right? So once you get to that level and you begin to operate on that level, then you create an aura of a higher standard, and it reflects in the attraction that your soul has based on the type of choices that you're making. So that's the principle of good luck. That's the primary principle of good luck, is selfishness. Contrary to what you were taught, that is generosity. It's not. It's looking out for yourself, looking out for the spirits that live in you. Okay, these spirits help you every day. Do you digest your food? No. Do you circulate your blood? No. Do you make your heart beat? No. Do you degas yourself? No. Are these intelligent works? Yes. If they let you do it, are you going to be able to do it if they allow you to do it? No, because you don't have the intellect and intelligence to do it. So these forces that are doing it for you, are they more intelligent than you? Yes. Where do they live? Inside of you. Do you recognize them? Do you talk to them? Do you give them praise? Do you show them appreciation? No. You know they are present because they're doing stuff for you every day, and you know their intelligence because what they're doing is not easy to do. So it's right there in your face. So a lot of people disregard these internal forces to pander to somebody else's emotional needs. Okay, so this will anger. That's what it means when they say God is a jealous God. All these things that they write in your scriptures, they have an esoteric meaning. Okay, so if you accept mistreatment, more mistreatment will come. If you accept mistreatment, more will come. If you reject it, right, and fight it and defeat it, right, better you be in the situations where you be the leader all the time. It'll be easier for you. All right? So, in the context of what we're talking about, the most righteous thing that you could teach a soul in this realm is how to fight physically, spiritually, mentally, combat. Okay, so if you don't have the will to fight, you're going to find things quite unpleasant on earth. All right, if you don't have the will to battle and fight, you're not in the right environment. Okay, this is earth. This place is designed where something has to kill something else to survive. You have to eat and kill something else so that you can live. Something else eventually eats you. Okay, that's the nature of the design of this place. What does that tell you? That tells you that you are responsible for your own well-being to the highest standard. There's nothing outside of you that's going to do it for you. At some point in time, you have to figure it out. All right? So, paying more attention to yourself, being more responsible for the goals that you set for yourself and how selfish you are in attaining these goals. These are the things that not only bring success, but bring good luck. Running into people that make the difference. Running into situations that make is another principle called the silver cord. Okay, the silver cord. These are things that you can't see them with your eyes. You can't touch them. However, they are more real than the things that you can touch and see. These principles that we're discussing, you have to understand the atom that makes physical reality is 99.9% space. So if the atom that makes reality is 99.9% space, then that means the reality that we see is 0.001 of the atom. So the empty space is principles, forces, intelligence, all right? Design, all right? And we have to be aware of the